how good do these irons look? Today I'm going to take the Ping i59s out on the course here at Huddersfield Golf Club and see if they perform just as good as they look. Right, let's get started. So I've got i59 4, 6, 8 iron and pitching wedge, and I've also got one of the new Glide Forge wedges. So today I'm going to just use those irons out on the course and see how I get on. Now, I'm not going to lie, I've already had a sneaky go with these on the launch monitor and the numbers were seriously impressive. So I'm really excited to see if that transfers out onto the golf course. 4 iron off the first tee. It's definitely going to make this a long hole. Now, I'm not going to lie, over the ball, this is a pretty small club head, not the most confidence inspiring. So even though it looks nice from here, it does make you feel a little bit nervous when you put it down over the ball. Now, I think this is going to be a full 3 shot since I don't have a driver in play. Slightly thin, but it's gone straight. I'll take it for the first shot. So I've got 250 to the pin, so it's definitely 4 iron again. I'm a bit worried because I've got like 145 to fly that bunker, 150. And it's quite a daunting shot when you've got such a small club. I don't usually carry a 4 iron because I'm more of a hybrid person, so let's see how this goes. It's downwind, at least that'll help me out. You know what, I actually struck that pretty nicely. Probably got about 50, 60 yards to go. Let's go see how I get on with the wedge then. So I've got 71 left to the pin. I had 259 from the fairway, so it's finished about 180, 190 from where I started. That is probably what I saw on the launch monitor. My average was about 187 with this club carry. I don't think it flew out quite as far then. I got a little bit of run to help. So I've got the Glide Forge Pro wedges now, and I have to say, these look really good. They are quite round and oval, which is a bit different from some other wedges, and they also are quite small, so not for the faint-hearted, but this is a 58, so let's see how I get on. Oh, it felt nice. A little bit short though. Not going to be a birdie. Hopefully an easy par though. So these have come in to replace the iBlade. But in terms of styling, they really remind me of the Ping Blueprint irons. Now, in terms of technology, we've actually got more grooves on here, and that's designed to give you a little bit extra spin. And there's also more tungsten in the toe of these than we saw in the iBlade to try and help with that forgiveness. On top of that, as we see with a lot of Ping products, we've got that Hydro Pearl finish, so that's going to help with that water resistance and trying to move the club through when you've got a bit of a wet lie. Now, obviously these aren't the biggest irons, so they're not designed to be Ping's most forgiving clubs, but it's going to be interesting to see throughout these next few holes that we play just how forgiving they are compared to the iBlade and compared to the Blueprint. Now, I'm going to go ahead and hit a 6 iron off this tee because I've hit a few 4 irons already. So this hole's 258 yards, but we are uphill into the wind, so I'm going to hit my 6 iron and then hopefully I'll be able to get an 8 or a wedge on it for the second, so just try and test one of those clubs out as well. Slightly down the right, but it was a nice strike. So I've got 130 left to the pin, but it's uphill straight into the wind. Now, when I had this on the launch monitor, the 8 iron, I was averaging 150. So this should do the trick, although that was in a nice warm simulator room, not out on the golf course in quite cold temperatures. Oh, that was nice. Finished short though. Definitely not what I was expecting. Par number 2. Right, time for a par 3. We're on the 8th here, and it's 115 yards to the pin, so judging by what happened on the last hole, I'm gonna hit 8 iron again because it's uphill into the wind again, and see how it goes for distance control this time. Well, it's straight at it. Distance looked pretty decent there, maybe just past the pin, but it was a really nice looking and feeling shot. 15 footer for birdie. I'd happily take that on all my par 3s. Oh, I've not hit it. Easy par though. So I feel like with this kind of golf club, because the feel and the design is all about that precision, wedges is where you're really going to see that, and probably where you're going to get the benefit of this the most. So we're just going to hit a couple and see how it performs. I've got 108 here. My stock pitching wedge would usually be between 150 120, but I think given the temperature and the distance my 8 iron's been going today, we're just going to go down a little bit shorter. Oh, that felt nice. Nice ball flight. Decent amount of spin on that too. Very consistent. Those two shots have literally finished within a foot of each other, but they have both finished short of the pin. So although the ball flight and the shape and the spin was really nice, and also the feel, I would say overall these irons aren't necessarily giving me the distance that I would usually get, which for me as not a very long player is something that I probably wouldn't want. And I think these are probably going to be more suited to people with a higher club head speed. But in terms of precision and feel, top marks for these. So I'm back inside warming up now, and I'm actually really glad I took these irons out on the course. I'm not going to lie, when I had these on the launch monitor, I was hitting them really good. And I was really impressed with the data throughout the bag. I was striking them nice, the ball flight was good, and they were really consistent. Even in the 6 iron, which was the most consistent club I hit out of all of these inside. But then when we took these out on the course, the smaller size kind of creeped in, and I didn't quite see the level of forgiveness that I think I'd need for my game. I guess it shows you the difference of being outside in the elements and not necessarily having a flat lie in a practice room. It does make a big difference to performance. But if we take a quick look through the data, for the pitching wedge I was averaging 123 yards inside, which I was really happy with because generally that's longer than my current clubs. And I was also really pleased with the ball flight and how consistent this was. All of my shots finished within 30 foot of the pin inside, and the majority were inside 15 foot, and the spin was up in the 7,000, so all the data there I was really happy with. When it comes to the 8 iron, I was averaging up at 151 yards inside. Now I'd be seriously happy with this because that's generally like my 7 iron distance, and even though I was getting more distance with this inside, it was still really consistent, and 3 of my 5 shots finished inside 6 feet, which is definitely pretty good. The spin was also pretty good here in the low 6,000s, but I think probably with this smaller iron that's focused on precision, I might have expected a little bit more, especially with those extra grooves we've got on the club face. When we moved to the 6 iron, this was probably the club I was most impressed with inside. I was averaging up at 173 yards carry, which is normally what I would see with my 5 iron, and I even got one shot up out to 177 yards. Even though I was getting this really good distance, my worst shot laterally only finished 9 foot away from my centre line, so really good in terms of consistency, direction and distance, and also the ball flight and the height was really consistent too. The spin came out in the low 5,000s, so I'd be pretty happy with that for a 6 iron. Then when we moved to the 4 iron, this was probably the club I found the hardest to hit. Not really surprising given its size, and also the fact I just typically don't use a 4 iron. I'm quite short and I struggle to get the attack angle needed to launch this high enough, and you could see that in the data. The shots were just coming out a little bit low and a little bit off the bottom of the club face. But then in terms of distance, it didn't come out that bad at all. My average was at 187 yards for carry, which is pretty much what I would get with a 4 hybrid. So I was pretty impressed with that. Overall, I loved the performance of these inside. From 6-iron down, I found them really easy to hit. I was controlling them really well and my distance was good. But on the course, that didn't just quite come out. Yes, the short irons were good. They were really easy to control in terms of direction, ball flight, trajectory. I wasn't quite getting the distance I wanted, although given it is cold outside, so that's going to affect things too. But in terms of like the 6 and the 4-iron, I found myself struggling a little bit for consistency of strikeout on the course. I think I just found them a little bit harder to hit when you didn't have that perfect flat lie and there's not as much forgiveness in the head as some of the irons that I'm used to hitting. Having said that, the feel is so good and so is the workability and control. So if you're someone who can strike it a little bit more consistently and maybe has a bit more club head speed than me so you can get that extra distance, I think you're really gonna like these. Honestly, the feel off a pure strike is just so good. Right, that's all for today. If you have any questions about these irons, feel free to drop them in the comments below or drop me a line on Twitter or Instagram. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications too. And if you're after more golf content, head over to the National Club Golfer social media channels for more.